organization, and for the AIMS staff, particularly Pamela Nolan, who is the person who made all these copies and who made all those name tags. And when you all called and said, I know registration is closed, but that was the person that we talked to who made this possible. So I want to give a special thanks to Pamela Nolan, who's not here, but here in spirit, definitely, and to Peter Bailey of AIMS. Last but not least, I want to thank our outstanding student leaders who planned this entire conference. This conference really has been student-led. They have had retreats. They started back in August with a retreat, Outward Bound, that kind of started the ball rolling for this entire conference. We brainstormed topics. They did some ropes courses and such things that I don't tend to do myself. They were out there doing climbing ropes and connecting those team building exercises to community building, the kind of community building that we're doing today. So they started way back in August with this. They've been coming to meetings after school, between practices, and all kinds of things. Their parents have brought them out late at night to this school and to other schools who have sponsored our meetings since August. So I want to give a shout out and just a big round of applause. You'll hear from them all day long from this point on, but I just want to give a big round of applause for our students. They will run workshops today that showcase wisdom and talent that far exceeds the short number of years they have walked this earth. I am awed by them. I'm sure as teachers, many of you and parents, you know what I mean about the awe that we have for young people and just how grateful we are for all of the young people, not just the leaders, but all the young people who are sitting here today. We often look to you to be that voice, not to take the full burden, because that's ours to take as elders, but to use your unique voices and your unique gifts that you only have when you're young to push this work forward. This is nearing the 30th year of this conference, which means it began long before most of you all were born. It started in a church, as many great movements do, New Psalmist Baptist Church in Baltimore City, by some folks whose names some of you may know. Bill Green, Johnny Foreman, and Susan Munn, the Friends School, were some of the early founders of this conference almost 30 years ago. They had a bold vision to bring students from independent schools together to discuss topics of diversity and educational equity and inclusion, and to lead this conference, for students to lead this conference. It was never intended for adults to lead this conference. This conference is student-led and teacher-adult-aided, which is why I'm not going to talk too long. What an incredible and awesome model that we have to put you all out in front. I am humbled by what these incredible, inscrutable young people bring to this work. They are key. They get it in ways only few adults can, that most adults never will get. What students understand about this work, what you understand about this work, is that it is not so hard. You're not as tired as we are, so it's not so hard. They understand that this work is not hopeless, calloused, as sometimes it becomes with you. You as students understand that it is up to all of us. You do not pass the buck as quickly as sometimes we do as adults. We pass it on to our supervisor or to the person in charge or to some person on the bureaucratic scale. You don't pass the buck. You understand the idea that it's about individuals taking the lead. Your world as students is a world of action, of instantaneous response, right? We're slow, you're fast, you're instant, you're responsive. You get it, you get action. You are not complacent. Your world, students, is so vast and so deep that you cannot understand often why we adults sometimes only see borders and boundaries, because your world is big, it's broad, it's for the taking, and sometimes we have a hard time seeing that. Audre Lorde, Black feminist writer, philosopher, proclaimed, and we talked about this at one of the meetings, if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. Our youth are fearless, and yet they need us. They need us to be fearless too. They need us for the mundane things, like calling them to diversity conference early in the cold Saturday mornings. And they need us for sublime things, like following them into the very eye of the storm. Students, we are here for you, aren't we, adults? Yeah. We are here for you. We believe in you. We believe in all of you. No matter where you live, what kind of food your family may eat, what accent you might have, which God you may follow, what belief you may hold, how much money you have, what hue you may don, who you choose to love, what music you listen to, what friends you hang out with. We are here for you. We are here for you, meaning we love you despite and because of all those things that you are. The only solution is love. Love of your neighbor, love of yourself. That's biblical, it's cliche maybe, but it's true. Our theme this year is Masks Off. Some of you might immediately recognize this reference. How many people immediately recognize this reference? That'll just show us who, okay? Some people aren't raising their hands. I know you might recognize this reference as a hip-hop hit from the artist Future and the viral Twitter and Instagram challenges that spun from the hashtag Masks Off. If you follow this hashtag Masks Off, which was really hot back in the spring, this past spring, you'll see everybody doing the Masks Off challenge. You'll see violinists of color. You might see a white fraternity boy and his interpretation, or the violinist interpretation, classical violinist interpretation of this same hip-hop single. It brings very different people together in a unique way, as hip-hop does. I'm a big fan of hip-hop. The song carries with it a haunting track that originates from a musical. You may not have known that. So the Future song actually comes from a musical that was written in 1978, right? Under the Sun. The track for it came from a musical called Selma. And the song itself was written by a man named Tommy Butler. And the title was not Masks Off at that time. The title was Prison Song. And the song is a story of a person contemplating whether or not it was worth it to go to jail for the sake of civil disobedience. In this case, for the sake of the civil rights movement in Selma. And some of the words of that original 1978 song, the same track as Future song, the lyrics were cold chills, prison cells, cold chills, prison cells, locked in, bars of steel, leave my woman tonight, just ain't feeling right, cold chills, prison cells. You don't have to go to prison. Oh my Lord, praise him, be cold chills, prison cells. But what will it accomplish? Set your people free, locked in, bars of steel, Ku Klux Klan, they're laughing. Be merciful to our abusers. Leave my woman tonight. The thought of you, they don't know what to do, just ain't feeling right. Cold chills, prison cells. So you can imagine that haunting refrain matched up. And we won't say what the refrain is today, because I know that many of you know what the refrain is today. It's a little different. But I think that what they have in common, if you juxtapose the two, is what am I doing here? What am I doing in this prison cell? Is it worth giving up my life for this cause? What am I doing here in this rap game? What am I doing here in this madness? Why am I self-medicating in order to get through it? What am I? What are we doing here? The only way to know what you are doing here at this conference and on this planet is to first take off your mask. Figure out who you are and whose you are. What is your purpose? As long as we are wearing masks, we are not being true to ourselves. When we are not being true to ourselves, we scapegoat the other. See, the other person who doesn't look like us, who's strange to us, who's weird, who's odd, who lives somewhere else, who doesn't resemble what we resemble, the other is always a convenient way to avoid looking at oneself in the mirror. They are the problem. The blacks, Muslims, gay people, Latinos, women, the poor, the mentally ill, the addicts, the inmate, the racist, the sexist, the Republicans, them, not me. Let's get real today. Let's take off our masks and figure out some things about the world and about each other. Thank you. So we're going to get started with a few more greetings from the host school and from ACE.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm Greg Ventry. I'm the head of Glenelg Country School, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here today. It's our privilege to be hosting what I understand is the largest conference, largest Ames Diversity Conference ever. So thank you all for being here. All of you are parts of schools, members of schools, school communities that have missions that speak aspirationally about who we want to be, what kind of schools we want to be. Where do you fit in? That's part of what I hope you'll think about today. Where do you fit into your school's mission? Is that mission alive for you? Maybe today will help you to figure that out. Don't be afraid. The support that you get today hopefully will help you find a voice to bring back to your schools. Because remember, this is also a leadership conference. Leadership does not happen in a vacuum. Leadership means engagement. So if you can take those masks off today and engage with one another, the support and the energy that you get from that, I hope will enable you to go back to your schools and engage with the people who are not here today and help them work with you to make your school's mission truly alive so we can all move forward together. So again, I welcome you to this conference. I welcome you to our school. And I hope that this day is really successful for you. Thank you very much. I also want to introduce the Executive Director of Ames, Peter Bailey. Peter, thank you for being here today.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to join Greg Ventry in welcoming you all here to Glenelg Country School. I know you were all up early this morning. I know many of you had long drives. And I would especially like to thank all of the people who drove here this morning, piloting school buses and vans and carpools. It's going to be a wonderful day for us to spend together. Ames serves 125 member schools in Maryland and Washington, D.C., schools like yours. And those schools represent about 55,000 students like you, and about 8,000 teachers like the people who are here supporting you today, who work in your schools each day, and who help to drive you here this morning. One of the things that really pleases me about this group, and particularly a group this large, is that you all are working seriously and thoughtfully and reflectively on some of the most important challenges that are facing our society today. And you know that our public discourse is oftentimes angry and dismissive and uncivil, and indeed disparaging of different groups of people. That's not the way our public discourse should be. It's not the way that we should relate to one another as caring human beings. You all, in having the kinds of conversations that you are having today, and the kinds of conversations you have every day in your schools, are modeling the kind of discourse that we need to move this country forward. Discourse that is civil and respectful and inclusive and caring. Discourse that recognizes the strength that our country has in diversity, the strength that our country has in variety, and the strength that our country has in bringing people in and getting along well with one another. I recently heard a historian speak about freedom, particularly in the context of the way totalitarian regimes can take freedom away from us. And he said, and I think this is extremely important for us to remember, that freedom is hard. Freedom is not easy. Freedom requires us to think, to stand up, and to do things that are difficult and challenging. So I admire all of you today for having those challenging and difficult and complicated conversations in ways that will help us all to move forward together as students, as school communities, and as residents of the United States. So thank you again very much.
We will now introduce our student planners.
So hi, I'm Wayne Garrett III from Boys Land School of Maryland.
I'm Carrington Scott, also from Boys Land School of Maryland. And to open up a little bit about what BSDLC means to us and the idea of mask off. This is my third year doing BSDLC. I started my sophomore year. And ever since my first time doing it, I absolutely loved it. I never sat in the shoes of being like someone who came to learn, so I can only imagine how great an experience it is for people to come here. But every year, in my opinion, only gets bigger and bigger, only gets better in my opinion. And Mask Off is a wonderful way to really express yourself and learn about yourself. So I'm really excited for this.
In addition to what Carrington is saying, I also have participated in BSDLC Leadership Conference for 3 years, and freshman year I participated in going to it. And what all this experience has taught me is that diversity is about connections, and the connections you make with other people. And specifically with Mask Off, it's taught me a lot. Mask Off can be interpreted in many different ways, but for me, it means finding your true self and showing that and expressing that to others, and which is what we all wish you all do today, to express yourself. So right now, Eric and I are going to speak about We Wear the Mask by Paul Dunbar, which is the real inspiration behind this whole conference. And here we go. So, we wear the mask. We wear the mask that grins and lies, that hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears in sighs?
Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the clay is vile, beneath our feet along the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is NAACP, and our group will be running Workshop 1, which is called The Invisible Mask of Privilege, Advocacy versus Entitlement, and the Importance of Allyship. Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm Issa. I'm April. I'm Kieran. And I'm Robert, and we're all from Glenelg Public School. Really quick, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. This was a huge turnout. It's been really fun. We all have like cell phones and stuff like that, so we want to be able to see each other's posts throughout the day. And so we're going to use the hashtag BSDOC17 and hashtag GoDrivings so we can all see each other's posts. And I just want to say, have fun, because it's going to be a great day. Thanks. Daniel, and I'm from Garrison Forest, and we are Workshop 2, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's not great.
Captain Scott, and asks the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you.
I'm really Bridges.
I'm Vivian, we're running Workshop 3, and it's the mask of the American dream disappeared and approach to that. I'm Jada. I'm Tati. I'm Caleb. I'm Haley. I'm Asya. I'm Jalen. I'm Kara. I'm Sonari. I'm Louise. And I'm Lola.
I'm Ben Excuse me. I'm Ben Levinson. I go to Gilman, and I'm part of Workshop 4, which is confronting stereotypes in the LGBTQIA community.
Hi, I'm from Friends. I'm also in the workshop.
I'm Wayne Garrison III, senior at Boys Lions School, Maryland.
My name is Kelsey.
My name is Lowell. I go to Boys Latin.
My name is Carlos. I'm a junior at Boys Latin, and Group 5 is superheroes and villains, seeing the truth behind masks on social media.
I'm Monty, I go to Garrison Forest. I'm Gabrielle, I go to Garrison Forest. I'm Nyla, I go to Garrison Forest. And I'm London, and I also go to Garrison Forest. Hello, my name is Megan Hopkins, and we're Group 6, Mask Off, Racism and White Supremacy, Combating New Faces of the KKK, Fascism, and Other Extremists.
My name is Barrett. I go to Gilman School.
My name is Makai. I go to Gilman School.
My name is Carrie, I go to Friends. My name is Summer and I go to Garrison Forest.
Good morning. My name is Nicuna Randrana, and I'm a junior at the Glenelg School. And our session 7S is Mask On, Mask Off, effective cross-cultural communication in code switching.
I'm Autumn, I go to Friends School. I'm Gabby and I go to Roland Park Country School. I'm Rithika, I go to Bryn Mawr.
I'm Camille, I go to Bryn Mawr.
I'm Matt, I go to BO.
I'm Jasmine and I go to Roland Park Country School. I'm Karen again, and today our keynote speaker is going to be Theo Wilson. Theo Wilson is a founding member of the Denver Slam Nuba team, which won the National Poetry Slam in 2011. He began his speaking career in the NAACP at the age of 15 and has always had a passion for social justice. He attended Florida A&M University, where he obtained his BA in theater performance. Upon graduating, he interned as a full-time actor at the St. Louis Black Repertory Company. He is now the executive director of Shop Live Incorporated. The organization uses the barbershop as a staging ground for community dialogue and healing. In 2013, Theo began speaking with Rachel's Challenge, an organization dedicated to ending school violence through compassion. After a viral video success beginning in 2015, Theo grew his social media following up to well over 40,000 people. Due to audience demand, he published his first book in 2017, The Law of Action. The book addresses some of the misconceptions about the laws of attraction and the crucial role in direct action. Theo has opened for performers such as Common, CeCe Williams, The Flobots, Dead Prez, Universes, Taylor Molly, and Saul Williams.
How you doing? This is weird. Okay. I had notes and this other stuff. So I'm gonna put this guy down here. I hope I'm not offended. I appreciate it. It's weird when people read your whole bio. I need to send out the clip notes first. It's such an ironic thing being here at this conference. So maybe y'all don't know why I got invited here. Who knows what TED Talks are? So I did one, right? And my talk was on, I ran a little experiment where I went undercover as a white supremacist for about 8 months. And I did it online because clearly there were some physical impediments to being accepted as one in real life. And when I did it, I thought it was the stupidest thing I was doing in my life at the time. I never thought of all the things that I've ever done in my lifetime, that is not the thing that I thought would propel me into the national spotlight. And now it's just strange. Like, did you hear about the black people who did the thing with All Right? And I was like, wow, that's me, apparently, right? And so, well, I gotta just say this to you guys, man. The number one people thing that people ask me about is the danger element. Weren't you afraid that this, that, and the third was gonna happen? I was like, not at all. I didn't get into any danger until I took the mask off. And I went public with what I had done in such a broad format as a TEDx talk. And it was one of those things where I said, maybe this will get a few thousand views, I'll have a video, and maybe I'll be able to speak to some folks about it. When the thing hit 7 million views, I knew I was really, really masked off. And that there was not much that I could do to conceal the nature of the underground experiment. And so I just kept going. But one thing that I have to say is that when you talk about danger, you're also simultaneously talking about courage. And my sense of danger had got mad skewed because I've been through some things with white supremacy that I really want to kind of contextualize into this journey. My first speaking gig, as they said, I began with the NAACP youth chapter when I was 15 years old. The reason that I was speaking that day is because I was the one that was slated to have the supposed gift of gab to talk about a shooting in Denver where a member of the Aryan Nation killed an African immigrant named Omar Jai. I was 15 years old, and we had set up in this church, and there was rumors that the Aryan Nation was outside, ready to like pounce on us when we left. And I was afraid, especially being the keynote speaker even at that age, but I had to say what I had to say. And these multiple run-ins with it will make you understand that this is a force that's not necessarily going away because we try to legislate it away, because we're trying to make certain racial slurs part of hate crimes and whatnot. This is a way deeper problem. And if anything I can do today is going to get underneath what that looks like. Because I ran into white supremacy again in college. And I went to an all-black college, which was weird. I was not expecting to run into white supremacy on the campus of Florida A&M University, but there I was, walking into a building, the main administrative building, and I see a puff of smoke come out of the window, and the university president runs out and tells everybody to turn around because a bomb had been detonated in the building by a white supremacist. Not a bomb threat, a bomb blew up on my black campus. I'm only 18 years old at this point. This was the same year that the Columbine massacre took place. The boys who did that were also espoused white supremacists, right? There was this whole national debate on what school safety looks like, and I'm thinking, oh, the country's media outlets going to be here, we're going to talk about this. But nothing happened. I'm at this black school that just got not threatened to bomb, but actually a bomb went off. And nobody from the national news media showed up. I'm gonna tell you who did show up. The men in black, they show up. The FBI, CIA. It ain't nothing like when they show up to y'all in real life. There's nothing more startling and stunning to see them in the flesh. When they rope off the campus, tell everybody to get down and the guns are drawn. 2 weeks later, another bomb detonated on Florida A&M's campus. My roommate was in the building, the Perry Page military building. I'm thinking definitely the cameras will come and we're gonna get all the national attention in the world. Somebody could have gotten killed. Nothing. Instead, the cameras got placed up all over the campus. The men in black show up again. And because I'm at this black school, I'm realizing they don't care about us. It was the scariest feeling in the world. This is not what my mama sent me to college for. Shortly after that, this is Florida A&M's campus, the election in 2000 comes up when George W. Bush has that long ballot count when he finally, I guess, supposedly defeated Al Gore. But what happened was that people don't realize that George W. Bush had Nazi leanings. His family, his grandfather, Prescott Bush, sent money to the Nazis. This here is called institutional racism, folks. This has nothing to do with bigotry face to face. Racism comes in three forms. The first form is interpersonal. That's what you're used to. The N-word, swastikas, I don't like this person because of their skin color. That's how it normally shows up. Institutional was far more insidious. It plays the numbers game. If you set a certain price on something and only the elite can afford it, you're generally in this country going to attract the white audience. Believe me, I spoke at TEDx Mile High. I know what it looks like, right? And conversely, when you have policies that negatively affect the poor, the numbers game says that you're going to be affecting black and brown people. I know that this is by design. And so when we look at power, we realize that we only get as much democracy as power will allow. And we thought this whole time that democracy was power. There was a force behind the scenes that when I went undercover, I saw it again. I wish that I could say to you that this is something that will go away. I cannot. It will not probably leave in our lifetime. Our job right now is to adjust and figure out a game plan, but never underestimate what these folks are willing to do. The reason why my TED Talk went viral is because when they finally posted it online, it was the week of Charlottesville. How many of y'all remember that Charlottesville incident a few months ago, right? And there was this feeling in the country that the alt-right is something new, maybe we need to listen to them. When Heather Heyer was killed, it's like, oh, these are the same old Nazis. Same old bad guys, same things that it's always been. And what I saw that day was a resurgence of what affected me most, because as I go back in time, my most salient encounter with white supremacy was when I survived a police beating of my own. I was 22, just graduated college, could not believe what my life was about to be. And I found myself in a nightclub, because that's what I was doing. And a fight breaks out, as often happens at nightclubs. And I found myself in the middle of a security shakedown and a police officer trying to put me in a submission hold, but I'm a trained fighter. I broke out. And at that point, his eyes just got as big as size. Like, this kid just really break out. It's like, oh yeah, I've been training to fight since I was like 2, right? And at this point, he ended up shoving me off of the corner and into the street. Had a car coming out of the head. The cop ended up cuffing me up. And as soon as they cuffed me up, because other cops swarmed me, I started screaming police brutality. The whole club, and then the house started turning around and saying, what is going on? To avoid the spotlight, they took me into a building, the side of the club, and marched me down these stairs. And I remember the distinct feeling, the black guy don't make it out of this one. And I remember being handcuffed to a chair, trying to get the other attention, trying to get the attention of the other police officers, and they were like, ghosted. And I said, these are the final moments of my life. When the police officer was done beating me, he grabbed me by my shirt. He said, you don't know my name, you don't know my badge number. I'll see you again tonight, you go to jail. I'm telling you, all the tough guy was out of me at that point. I just wanted to see my mom. That was it. He threw me down the stairs. I remember catching my footing as he threw me down the stairs. And right outside of the doorway, there was a newspaper that was talking about the blackout in New York, and it said, powerless. As soon as I left the door, I saw this thing that said, powerless. And that was burned into my psyche, because this is what the history of this institutional force has created in the black and brown communities. And so when I'm starting to move forward, this kicks me into activism. I was like, I gotta do something about this. I have to stand up for my community. I have to fight. And that looks like me running this organization called Shop Talk Live. Now, I hold community dialogues, everybody can come in. I normally focus on issues that affect the African American community. But to bolster my message, somebody was like, you need to do a video blog, right? So I was like, so I put together my video blog, and here I was, making videos about the things that I cared about, refuting some of the myths about Black Lives Matter when they tried to make it on the same moral level as the alt-right and Nazis. And I was like, show me Black Lives Matter body count. Oh, that's right. It doesn't happen. No one has lost their lives at the hands of somebody espousing the name Black Lives Matter. White supremacy, we got at least 4,000 lynchings on the record from the Jim Crow era. This is a totally different type of conversation. My job was to add clarity to that. But guess who found me? Them trolls. The white supremacist trolls, saying all kinds of manner of evil, calling me this, that, and the third. These things I've been called all my life. This ain't nothing new to me. But I tried to trace their accounts, and they was ghost accounts. I was like, what? You're fake, bro. Like, there's nothing here. So I was like, well, shoot, you can play that game. So I began to make my own account just to see what was going on. And here's why this was necessary. A lot of people don't realize. So we got a Facebook account, right? We got a Facebook account. All right, probably some of y'all on Instagram, right? There's something called, and this is going to sound real technical, there's something called a target marketing algorithm That is gibberish for when you click on something, you get more what you click on. So by the time that you click on something like that, like, you know, I like supply gear, like on like line, you feel me? Like, and then you click on it and then like word starts coming up. Like, I just bought the boots, bro. I got them on right now, right? The next thing that happens is that you will see that happening for news as well. So if you click on the Daily Show, you're gonna get more Trevor Noah, right? You click on CNN, you're gonna get more Anderson Cooper. And that algorithm is there to market to you. But what it'll do is it'll create a bubble where you think you're looking at the world and you're not. You're even looking at what your friends are posting, right? Well, birds of a feather post together. So y'all will be posting the same thing, and you share like, I like that, that's right, girl, I'm not talking about you like that, blah, 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 right? Before you know that, you will have a whole world that just look like you. So I created the other account to create a new echo. More target marketing algorithms that was this time on the other side. I wanted to know what they were showing me. Be careful what you ask for. Because what I found was a resurgence of old school bigotry. And the thing that shocked me the most about it was, how did they find this level of racism with a black president? How did this resurge when Oprah is famous? When you got LeBron James on every kid's wall, or Steph Curry, whichever, right? So it's like, okay, go this thing, okay. How did this resurge in this time period? Well, we got Dr. Martin Luther King holiday across the country. There's something that's not being uprooted with the problem. I found out what it is. It's something called environmental learning. So your teacher may be non-racist, and you may have all these examples of positive black stuff and brown stuff or whatever. But what happens at the dinner table when you're across from your daddy at Thanksgiving? And you hear uncles drop the N-word on you. And you hear certain viewpoints that say that these people are less than you. Those dinner table conversations, what gets said in the privacy of a kid's home, that's where the racism resurged from. And there is no way to legislate that. So what has to be done? You got to create a good counter movement and take care of your own folks and try to talk to folks who are open to talking to you. But if they're not open to talking to you, I am not somebody who espouses shaking hands with every video. That's not where I get down with. In my TED Talk, I mentioned that I had compassion for it. And that got mistaken for sympathy. And I'm like, no, don't be twisted. It's not the same. No, it's not. Compassion is when you see where somebody's coming from off the strength of cause and effect. I can see how you got to where you are. Sympathy is when you actually get down with where they are. That's two different things. But what happens is this. What the alt-right did was they reframed civil rights and called it oppression against white people. That's how they did it. They took the blowback from 400 years of slavery, 400 years of Native American genocide, and us trying to get equal. And then in the terms of us trying to get equal, they say, now that's anti-whiteness. And when somebody is privileged, leveling the playing field looks like oppression. I had to deal with that with male privilege. I was raised with misogynistic, all kind of crazy stuff. I was raised in a Pac and Snoop and Big and Eminem and all that, right? That's misogyny. So I had to figure out that, hey, when women are expressing their voices, it's a little thing called equality, bro. Get used to it. Embrace it. You see what I'm saying? So I had to examine and uproot my own male privilege. And the same thing happens when we examine what white privilege is like. Because the first thing somebody does when they tell me they got privilege is like, no, I struggle. I got problems. You know what I'm saying? We're all more attached to that. But I had to get, just like I had to get used to it, there are positive assumptions that come with my maleness. There are also positive assumptions that come with whiteness. That's all it is. And we have to figure out what that looks like. Because if the positive assumptions that come with my maleness means I'm stepping on a woman's throat, I got to back off. I have to examine it. I have to figure out where that's causing people pain. And these folks did not have the wherewithal to figure out where their whiteness could be a problem for somebody else who was not white. And part of the problem, I'm gonna say it right now, is part of the problem is the school system. Part of the problem is the school system. Because y'all not teaching history the way history is a lot. I know that there's some efforts in individual schools, so I gotta give props to the teachers who are like, but I do. And I'm like, thank you, Miss Teacher, that you killed it. Thank you very much. But that's so important. There's a reason why you don't know about John Horst and the Seminole Wars and how he was the real greatest slave revolt leader in the entire history of the United States. You hear about Nat Turner because they hung him. You didn't hear about John Horst because he was successful. Negotiated the only peace treaty for rebellious slaves that's ever been negotiated in this country and lived to be an old man. They never got John Horst. There's a reason why you don't know about the 30 Seneca Native American towns that were burned by George Washington. How we call Native Americans and wolves the same thing, the difference being form, right? There's a reason why you don't hear about the burning of Black Wall Street and how 300 African Americans, and some estimate far more than that, were killed in the largest race riot in American history that's been wiped from the books. Because when you institutionally begin to teach the stories of other people, you have compassion for those people. So what is it at the institutional level that's not allowing the stories of African American and Latino American and Muslim Americans and LGBTQ Americans for their stories to be told? This is what we are tasked of group. And I hope to goodness that any words that I have can help in the uprooting of that. I will say that the solution is this. Racism can't be out-taught, at least not institutional. You can at certain levels with individuals. You have to out-engineer racism. Racism is designed as a resource competition, as Dr. Claude Anderson explains it, right? You competing. Race is a group sport. It's a group sport, right? So this group, let's say in this country, the Europeans was like, we need like cargo, we need all of like land, we need the beaver pelts, we need all of it, right? Those are resources. That was a group competition for resources that is Native Americans out. Slavery was the same thing. We're going to profit from this cotton money, but we're not going to disperse any of it to the descendants of those who picked that cotton. You see what I'm saying? It's a group competition for resources, which means it's a zero-sum game. Zero-sum game means there's got to be a winner, there's got to be a loser. Our technology has evolved right now where the resources of this planet do not need to be locked into a zero-sum game. We can actually figure out a way to rebuild the redistribution of the resources of this planet so that everybody has some. I was shocked to find out that overpopulation is not stopping food supply. There's enough food on this planet right now to actually feed everybody on the planet and a half. The reason why people are struggling is because the resources have been engineered that some people get too much and some people get none at all. That's an engineering problem. We can figure out a way to get past bigotry. We can figure out a way to get past homophobia. There are ways to do that because we now have the ability to make sure that everybody gets what is necessary to survive. Poverty is engineered, and so is racism. And with minds like y'all, I'm sure that we can come to a solution so that the next generation will have a new set of problems. And that would be a beautiful thing. Let's move on to the next level. I'm sick of fighting the battle that my granddaddy fought. That's all I have to say. I'm Theo E.J. Wilson. Appreciate your time. I'm going to take like 1 or 2 questions. I promise I can try to play all day. But if you guys have questions about what I've been through, what's up? Nobody got questions. What's up? How you doing? Say it with your chest now. Hold on. Tired?
Repeat the question, please.
I would definitely repeat the question. She said, when I went undercover, did I ever feel tired or drained by what I saw? The answer is yes. I shut the project down a year before TED Talks tapped me on the shoulder and said, do you have anything that can add to the community healing dialogue? That was the most poisonous thing I've ever done for myself. I did it because I was trying to figure out the breadth and the scope of the resurgence of racism. I needed to know the storm before it hit. I was in a position of leadership, and I said it's on me as a leader to figure out what my folks behind me are going to encounter. But after a while, it wasn't good for my mental health. You can't endure that for so long. So yeah, I did get tired, and I did shut down the experience. I never thought I'd ever talk about it. So thank you very much for that question. What's up? Yeah, you. Yeah, that's a great question. How do private schools feed into institutionalized racism? Well, I'm so glad you asked that question. One of the main ways that private schools feed into it is because, like I said, racism plays a numbers game. Racism plays a numbers game. If you set the price at a certain level, you will weed out a certain kind of people and make it only accessible to another kind of people. The way that private schools operate right now, it is cost prohibitive to those who may need the very education being taught within those walls. So if you do not change the pricing structure, that's one of the main things that happens there. Secondly, you have to look at who's in charge of the school and what curriculum that they want to be taught. Because you can edit the curriculum to a certain level as long as you meet the state testing standards. You can figure out what will be taught and how it will be taught. So those in charge of machinery of the institution, by the cost prohibitive nature of it, and by what they choose to espouse and which teachers they choose to hire for what agenda, definitely can add to or conversely destroy institutional racism in private schools. The price tag is one of the main ways that it happens. Anybody else? How you doing?
Hi. When you were online with the white supremacists, what did you add to the conversation, or were you just watching?
No, I added some things to the conversation. What I did was I just mirrored the anti-black sentiments that was thrown at me. That's all I did. If I had a problem with Black Lives Matter at the time Obama was president, so I say something bad Obama, and I believe it there, and see, you know how comments go. They started accumulating likes, and then other people add to the conversation, and before you know it, you got a whole thread of horribleness. And that's what I did just to see what was going on. When I shut it down, I went and deleted everything. I was so ashamed when I was like, okay, good, that's good, right? So yeah, look how that happened. But yeah, I would say things that have been said negative about Black folks to me, and I would just say it there and see what happened. Hey.
Okay, so I know a lot of private schools we have a problem, and you recognize our student and our faculty aren't motivated.
The problem that you're saying, is it based around sometimes white enablers? Okay. I heard a great speaker. If y'all don't know who Tim Wise is, you need to find him. That dude be throwing down. It's like Malcolm X came back as a white dude, I promise. It is. It's like I just saw him in person. And he said that there's a price to privilege that white folks only pay. And that price is a level of fragility in the face of setback. When you're not taught the history of the people of color in this country, you're not taught how resilient human beings can be. You're not getting the lessons that teach you how to overcome an economic downturn. Economic downturn, Black people been at 50% unemployment rate. We know what that's like. We figure out how to handle life when the lights get cut off. We know about that. You see what I'm saying? We know how to persevere when somebody that we love is stuck in a prison industrial complex. If you're not taught, not only that, but the problem is you have to incentivize it to them. You have to, it's not enough to say this is right or this is wrong. You gotta sometimes say this was it for you. If you get this kind of white education, education to the white students of whatever private school, you give them a chance to buy back into humanity over whiteness. That's a huge thing. Because whiteness to people who are of European descent, because whiteness is a construct, you know that, right? It's artificial. There are just people. There are people whose ancestors are from Europe. There are people whose ancestors from Africa, Native America, Asia. There are human beings. Whiteness is an artificial barrier to stop people from European descent from breeding with other folks who didn't look like them, to keep the quote-unquote white phenotype alive. That's it. But it's unnecessary. And it's destructive. We must incentivize that this is what you get out of this. You get the chance to not only but also be on the cutting edge of the type of education that won't come from any of this stuff, so then there's other ways to say, well, you can get this, that, and the third from those teaching this type of stuff. But appeal to that, I think it should be much better off. I'll take like 1 or 2. Okay, I'm gonna take 2. This gentleman right here, and one more. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, in talking with a colleague, one thing came up. We were talking about diversity. And the question that was asked, if diversity is strength, as you pointed out, does that mean unity is weakness?
Gotcha. There's this debate among another debate. It's a perspective among white supremacists that diversity weakens folks. We have seen that statistically that's just not true. First of all, blocking people out because of the color of skin is a huge brain drain. Gosh, you're just losing so much human potential when you discriminate on the color of skin. The genes that control that have nothing to do with brain development, growth, and strength. There's just 2 different gene clusters, period, right? And what you bring to the table when you have diversity is you get more pieces of the picture that you can't get with just a monochromatic situation. You have other experiences, you have other mindsets. This enriches you, and if you got a common aim, you know, ask the NFL how much it benefited when it diversified. You see what I'm saying? Ask the NBA how much it benefited when it diversified. You have a lot of things going on that you would lose if you discriminate on the basis of skin color or color, because you miss part of the picture. One more. Hey, way up there, I see you, sis. Yeah, but it ain't the difference that people think. She asked me, do I see a change? Here's the change that I see. The alt-right and Donald Trump's followers and all that stuff are seeing a backlash against them that may bury them for a long time. I saw this with the election results that just came up. There has been a huge message sent to the White House that we are done with this garbage. We don't want y'all talking about this alt-right, white supremacist dog whistle and no more. We are over it. And so with that, we have now it's time for y'all to ride the momentum and create the America that everybody says that they want. Because the founding fathers neglected to say all white men are created equal. They just said all men and ladies and transform. So that's what I got to say to that. Thank y'all very much.
That was an amazing story, amazing speech. Just a reminder that all of this big speech we have today will be on YouTube under the Glenelg Country School YouTube account. Make sure you use your hashtag and everything. So moving on, my name is Sophie, and I have the privilege of introducing Ben Jealous today. Ben Jealous is a civil rights leader, community organizer, and businessman. At age 35, Ben was named the youngest ever president and CEO of the NAACP. Under Ben's leadership, the NAACP underwent an unprecedented era of growth, dramatically increasing the number of donors and activists. In 2013, Ben was named Marylander of the Year by the Baltimore Sun for the successful efforts he led to abolish the death penalty, pass the DREAM Act, and expand voting rights. Ben is currently a candidate for the governor of Maryland and works as an investor for Capital. Welcome, Ben.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I'm impressed that y'all are up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. That's pretty cool. My 9-year-old nephew, I think, is still asleep at my house. My name is Ben Jealous. I'm the former national president of the NAACP. How many of you guys consider yourselves to be activists in some way? Good. Good. That's good stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you a story this morning about how we changed the world, but I want to just affirm that student activism, deciding to become an organizer, to get involved, is not a distraction from your academic pursuits. I became a Rhodes Scholar at the end of college. It was only possible, quite frankly, because I first was kicked out of college for organizing student protests. Some of your parents may be concerned about your activism. They may feel it a distraction, but if you look at the social science, it'll tell you that students who become activists, they improve their critical thinking skills, their critical speaking skills, their critical writing skills, and actually their grades tend to improve. But we often don't choose to become activists. It kind of hits us. One day it just sort of slaps us in the face. A long time ago, when I was about 22 years old, a group of activists decided we were going to abolish the death penalty in the United States. The lawyers have been trying for decades and they've failed. And we decided that we had a new strategy, but it would require us to abolish it state by state across this country until we could get enough states to have a majority of states so that we could get the Supreme Court to rule it unconstitutional. And our test campaign was the juvenile death penalty. You see, 20 years ago, our country was one of 10 countries in the world that were still sending children to death row. Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Nigeria, China were also on the list. But when you looked at that list, the only Western nation that was still sending children to death row was the United States. And we decided, and these were high school students, we typically would not send people younger than 16 to death row. We were sending 16-year-olds to death row. And we decided that we were going to get states to stop sending high school students to death row, that we would need to get high school students to convince politicians in those states to end the practice. And so we went looking for the largest student anti-death penalty group in the country, the largest high school anti-death penalty group in the country. And we found it in Johnsonville, South Carolina, a small town in a small state, and a deeply segregated high school. This high school in 1996-97 had a white prom and a black prom. The white prom was at the country club, the black prom was at the high school. The student groups tended to be segregated with the exception of the football team and the cheerleading squad. And well, the head of the student anti-death penalty group who pulled all these kids together was the captain of the cheerleading squad. Her name was Joteka Edie. Joteka was also the queen of the drive-thru lane at the McDonald's on the weekend. She was so smart and such a good eater that she could remember who you were and what your order was by how you greeted her on the little speaker kind of squawk box thing at the McDonald's. So you would roll up and you would say, "Good morning." She would say, "Miss Jackson, is that you?" Well, I know what you want, and you know what you want, and I know how much it costs, and you know how much it costs. Just come on around, I'll have it ready for you. And that gave her time to read the newspaper. Newspaper at the McDonald's. 16 years old, captain of the cheerleading squad, and she sees a headline that says, "State sentences 16-year-old to die." She reads it again, it says the same thing. State sentences 16-year-old to die. She quickly reads the article. She's like, yes, this young man did a bunch of terrible things, but he's not even a young man. He's a child. He's a teenager. He's 16 years old. His brain hasn't finished forming yet. How can we hold him accountable at the highest level any human being can hold any other human being accountable? And who else does this? If you does a little research and figures out we're on this list of Yemen and Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, but not France, not England, not Germany. She said, this is crazy, it has to stop. And she decides that she'll do a high school NAACP chapter to join her in the fight. So she goes to the high school chapter of the NAACP there at Johnsonville High. She's a member, not very active, and she says, come on, Noah, we've got to stop South Carolina sentencing children our age. And they were all in. They're like, great, what's the next step? She's like, I don't know the next step. What do you think we should do? One of the students says, well, why don't we see if we can get the pro-life group to join us? Now, this team was at high school 20 years ago in South Carolina. The pro-life group was as white and conservative as the NAACP group was black and liberal. But they said, okay, why do you think the pro-life group might join us? No, you can't be pro-life and pro-death penalty, can you? So never thought about it. Why don't we go find out? So the NAACP group rolls over to the pro-life club meeting. And the pro-life group opens the door, and they're like, why is the NAACP here? And they say, well, actually, we need your help. Can we come in? They say, sure, come on in. They said, we're starting a campaign to abolish the juvenile death penalty in South Carolina, and we need your help. Well, why do you think we would be helpful? Well, you can't be pro-life and be pro-death penalty, can you? I said, hold on, we need to discuss that. They huddle. And it turns out Joe Taker was right. Young people's brains haven't finished forming yet, because when you're an adult, you have this piece of your brain that you use to justify hypocrisy twice on, well, every day of the week, and twice on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending on your faith. But these young people discussing amongst themselves, one reminds them of something popular in the Catholic faith called the doctrine of life. And they come back and they say, we never thought about it, but it turns out you cannot be pro-death penalty and be pro-life. So we're all in. How can we help? Well, they didn't get very far in South Carolina, but 5 years later, Jotega Edie, who we pulled into the national anti-death penalty movement, is now just out of college at the University of South Carolina, where she became the first black woman student body president of the University of South Carolina, hundreds of years after it had been founded, having established a large anti-death penalty group on this conservative campus. And that's important leadership lesson to understand, because people do not decide not to vote for you, say, when you run for student body president, because they disagree with you on one controversial issue. No, they'll decide not to vote for you if they don't think you stand for you, because then they can't trust you. But if you're willing to disagree with them on one issue, they might vote for you just simply because they know that you'll stand up on all the other issues that you agree with them on. And so here she is, she's a young organizer of the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, and the Supreme Court has just made clear that they'll abolish the juvenile death penalty in the United States if a majority of states oppose it. And at that point, we're at 23 states, and we got to get to 26 states. So we have 3 states left. So the wealthiest law firms in the country announced before the activists came out there, because they're also the wealthiest lobbying firms in the U.S., that they're going to target 10 states, and that they'll flip 3 of those states and abolish the juvenile death penalty. Those lawyers, those law firms would go 0 for 10. The activists come out and they say, well, the lawyers chose the states where the issue had been debated recently, the children on the road, and our side lost narrowly. We're going to go after a different list of 10 states. It's the 10 states that have never put a child on death row. But it's legally possible because there's no minimum age. And we're simply going to ask them to encode their values. Well, at a certain point, out of these 2 lists of 10, remember, we have to pass 3 laws. We've got to change the law in 3 states. The lawyers went 0 for 10. The activists have gone 0 for 7. There are only 3 states left: Wyoming, South Dakota, and New Hampshire. In other words, there were 3 of the most remote, least populated states in the United States, and they were last for a reason. No one knew how to deal with them. And so the lawyers say to us, so who do you all send to the last 3 states? We said Joe Taker. He said, what are those 3 states again? We said South Dakota, Wyoming, and New Hampshire. They said, and you're sending Joe Taker from South Carolina? We said, that's right. They said, how can we put this? You send Joe Taker from South Carolina to South Dakota, Wyoming, and New Hampshire. Well, they may be convinced that people who oppose the death penalty have landed from Mars, and they may just start executing children just to spite us. Well, funny thing, when a lawyer tries to intimidate you and they're not citing law or case history, you can ignore them. So we did. And we sent Joteka to South Dakota. That was the first day. And while she's walking down the street, and things kind of go the way the lawyers predicted. You know, she hasn't said a word to anybody in the entire state of South Dakota. She landed in a neighboring state. She drove there. She had just parked. She's carrying her bags to the motel. When an older white woman walks past her on the street and says, "You aren't from around here, are you?" And Joteka Edie, who had not spoken to anybody in the entire state yet, says to her, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Was it my accent that gave it away?" And the lady just looks at her and says, "No, there's no black woman in this town." And keeps on walking. And Joteka checks in, she gives her key to her hotel room, she throws the box of legal memos in the corner and just flops back on her bed and says, "How am I gonna win? We've gotta win. We had 20 states. We only had to win 3. We've lost 17. I gotta win every state. How am I gonna do this?" And she pulls out her playbook from Johnsonville High School. She says, "Well, I'll get the high school NAACP chapters, and we'll get with the pro-life chapters. And wait, I'm in South Dakota. There are no high school NAACP chapters. Well, I'll get the high school Amnesty International chapters, and then we'll get the pro-life chapters, and well, that's all I really know how to do." So she got the high school Amnesty International chapters all together, and got the pro-life groups all together. And they're all excited. You got a bunch of liberal kids, a bunch of conservative kids. They all found something they agree on. They're convinced they're going to change the world, and they say they're great leaders. Joteka Edie. So what do we do next? And it's a funny thing, when you step out on faith to change the world, you actually don't have to know what you're going to do next. It's just enough to know the next step. But Joteka had reached the end of her steps, and so she says to them, "I don't know, we've never really gotten this far before." They said, "Well, what do the lobbyists say we should do?" They said, "Well, they say we should focus on the people in the middle. Don't worry about the people who are always against us. Don't worry about the people who are always with us. Just focus on convincing the people who are on the fence that haven't decided yet." Somebody raises their hand and says, "Well, how has that been working?" Well, it hasn't worked. We've lost 17 states. And we can't afford to lose anymore. And then one of the high school students said, "Well, why don't we just talk to everybody? South Dakota ain't that big." And so they went and they talked to every politician at the state capitol, every member of the state assembly, every member of the state senate, one by one. And you know, the ones who were always with them were excited. They felt like the cavalry had arrived in the form of their own children and their more conservative neighbors' children. And the ones who were on the fence, well, they were like, "Wow, I want to be over there. That looks like fun." So they're jumping off the fence and onto our side. And the ones who were against us, well, it turns out there's no old politician who didn't start off as a young activist. And they were like, "Golly gee, I could either spend my day playing golf, or I could spend my day debating with all the young people in my party and all the young people in the other party, because they all seem to agree on this one. So I'm going to go play golf." And we won South Dakota. Joteka showed up in Wyoming, same strategy. We won Wyoming. Joteka shows up in New Hampshire, same strategy. We win Wyoming. Sorry, we win New Hampshire. And after the wealthiest law firms had gone 0 for 10, and the most seasoned activists had gone 0 for 7, Joteka Edie, 22 years old, played book at a Johnsonville High School in South Carolina, where she was captain of the cheerleading squad and queen of the drive-thru line at McDonald's before she founded that group. Joteka Edie went 3-15. Now, Seth Watson, the former Solicitor General of the United States, with the win in the U.S. Supreme Court for having abolished the juvenile death penalty in the United States. But if he was here today, he would tell you he couldn't have done it unless a majority of states had outlawed the practice. And I'm here to tell you today, Joteka Edie was the only one who left. Her and a bunch of high school students who decided that they would make sure America caught up with the rest of the Western world. And why do I tell you that story today? What's even more important than what Joe Taken did is what she didn't do. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't go to a prominent lawyer in town and say, well, gee, do I need to go to law school before I take on this issue? No, she just went out and did it. And if she hadn't started at Johnsonville, South Carolina, she had started at Johnsonville High School in South Carolina, well, she wouldn't have known what to do when she got to South Carolina. Those of you who raised your hands earlier, if you've been hit with the thing that you need to change in this world, recognize that as a gift from God. It's a blessing that most people don't do. If you did raise your hand and you think of something that you should be working on, I encourage you to get into it right now. And if you don't know what you should be working on, simply make a list of all the things that you want to change about this world. Close your eyes, draw a circle, and whatever's most in that circle, let that be. It's the only thing better than waiting your whole life to figure out the perfect change is to pick something good and go after it. And you'll find the way Joe Taken found, the way a lot of young people found when they decided to support a guy named Barack Obama to become the nation's first black president, that when you're really focused, when you're really clear on the change you need to make in the world, you often make that change happen faster than any grown-up thinks it possible. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, thanks so much, Ben, for that. Okay, now it is time to get to the workshops. Y'all ready? Y'all jazzed up? Y'all ready to get started with some work? Yeah? All right, that's good. Okay, so a couple of housekeeping. All right, so where your workshops will take place. All right, if you signed up for the Biblical Mass with Privilege, that workshop's going to take place in 2 rooms. You'll be in either room 219 or 220. You can go back to where the breakfast area was. There's a set of steps. Go up those steps and then turn left, and your classroom can be on the right. Okay. If you are in the good, the bad, and the ugly, that's in room 180. Okay. That's going to be down on the first floor. When you go back down the hall, back to the breakfast area, you'll come to the railing, turn right, and then walk up the ramp, and then 180 is on the left behind the cafeteria. Okay. And there'll be some folks up there that can point direction to you if you get lost. All right. If you are in the Mass of the American Dreams here, that's in room 218. Again, go back toward the forum area, go up the steps. 218 will be directly in front of you once you come to the top of the steps. Okay, on your left. All right. Stereotypical Mass in the LGBTQIA community. That's in room 138B. You won't go all the way back down to the forum. Okay, 138B is just when you leave the gym, walk down the hall, before you get to the library. If you go to the library too far, give it a quick left turn and a quick right. There'll be a computer lab, and then you make a right down a short hallway, and 138B is will get the room back there. Okay, so don't go to the library. You've gone too far. Come out, quick left, quick right. It's getting back in there. Okay, superheroes and villains. That's in room 191. That is as far as you can go on this floor. So when you get